Today we talk about our journey to optimal health, uterine fibroids, what to use for a lazy thyroid, how to help with congestion in a young infant, and what to do when your baby has thrush. You don't need to be afraid. You can handle this, and here's how you do it.
The Ask Dr. Mom Show.
Welcome to the Ask Dr. Mom Show, episode 11. Last week, we talked a little bit about my and hopefully your journey to optimal health and how it's never too late. We always have a choice. We are not victims. We do not have to stay in the circumstances that we're in. The definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. If we are at a fork in the road and we don't want to keep going down this path that will lead us to poor health, poor joints, poor mental abilities, eyesight, immobility, all of the things that we consider normal aging, if we don't want to go down that path, then we have to make a conscious decision that we're going to take this path. And then we have to be proactive about it and actually not just think it, but do it. So, on that note, when Jonathan with Sprigs Life first suggested to me that we start doing some of these videos, I was not only apprehensive, but I really kind of dug my heels in and said, oh no, we're not doing that. Because I realized how long I have been taking care of everybody except me. And because of that, I have slid down the proverbial hill. I have put on more weight than I've ever had in my life. I haven't been as active and mobile as I used to be. I wasn't working out on a regular basis. And I said, I don't want you to put me on camera if I can't be an example of what I'm trying to teach. And so he said, you know, there's probably a lot of people in your same situation. You know how to fix it. If you will share your journey, that may help a lot of other people to take the journey with you who are not sure how to begin. So he had me write this little booklet called My Personal Wake-Up Call. And this, embarrassingly enough, tells exactly where I started this journey. There will be a link with this episode, and if you would like to see where I started, you are welcome to download a free ebook of this booklet, and it will tell you my starting points. I am going to start making posts on my Facebook page, Dr. Mom's Healthy Living, so that if you would like to join me and watch my progression and hopefully share your progression, your challenges, your questions, then feel free to come to Dr. Mom's Healthy Living on Facebook and join me in this journey. Okay, Hans, what do we have for question number 1?
Rudina says, I am a mother of 2 boys, 6.5 and 4 years old. I need your support about the diet that you have for the hyperactive children, or I would like to have some information how you can help us. Also, I would like to know about the herb that you have for hyperactive children. Also, my oldest son had thyroid, the one that the body does not produce iodine. Do you have any herb for this disease? Please let me know. Thank you for your time.
Rudina, the very first place that I look when it comes to hyperactivity is diet. When we are dealing with hyperactive children, we have to be very careful that we are staying away from fast food, processed foods, junk foods, things that will have processed sugars and dyes in them. So we want to bring in a lot of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, things, whole foods, so that we're not throwing a lot of chemicals at them that their bodies can't handle. One of the things that I would recommend doing is keeping a food diary. Maybe do that for 30 days, for a month. Every time you feed your children, record what you're feeding them, what time of day it is, and then record how the day is going. Were they fairly calm that day? Were they overly anxious? Were they overly active? Did they have a harder time focusing and concentrating? By doing this, you can start to kind of target some of the foods that might be causing a problem, and then you can begin to eliminate them from the diet. The herbal formula that we use is the Kids Life Focus. This has been put together with herbs that have traditionally been used to calm, to feed the brain, to help with focus and attention. Okay, Hans, what do we have for question number? Oh, I'm sorry. Rudina, you also asked me about thyroid. One of the herbs that has traditionally been used for thyroid that is very specific is kelp. And it is considered very high in organic iodine. Hans, what do we have for question number 2?
Catherine says, "Hi, I have a 9-month-old baby girl around 18 pounds. She has chest congestion, and I have steamed her, and I don't know what else to do for her or what to give her. She is breathing just fine, no pain or anything. I was just wondering if you could recommend anything I could give or do. Thank you."
Catherine, congratulations and thumbs up for being proactive and doing the steaming. That is absolutely one of the best things that you can do for a young infant with congestion. In addition to that, I would personally use the Kids Immunobug, and I would give it to her straight from the dropper. It has herbs in it that will help to boost the immune system and help to flush out that congestion. And the other thing that I would probably do, especially at night when they tend to get a little more congested, is I would use the kids' ear oil that has the garlic oil and the mullein in it, and I would rub it on the chest. This is the throat. I would rub it on the throat, the chest, and the back. And I would do that because the garlic will help with any type of virus or infection that might be there. And the mullein will help to break up that congestion so that the steaming and the Kids Immunobug can help to move it out. Okay, question number 3.
I have a 5-week-old baby. I think I am getting yeast, and he might be getting thrush. After he nurses, my nipples are very itchy. And after my tub last night, my areolas were very dry and flaky almost. What can I do?
Jennifer, when I am dealing with any type of thrush or yeast in the breast, I always make up a batch of bayberry tea, and I have my moms drink the tea to help flush the yeast out. And then if I can see white spots in the baby's mouth where they're getting thrush, I will actually take a little bit of the bayberry tea and put it in a spray bottle, a little spritzer, and I'll just spritz it right into their mouth. Now, bayberry tea is very bitter, and so you're probably only going to get away with this once or twice as far as the baby goes. But usually when I have had little ones like that with thrush, just a couple of times spritzing it in their mouth usually flushes it right out. My moms have also had a lot of luck in being able to flush it out of their system. Now, because it's so bitter, it would probably be a good idea to, when you're drinking it, to add some honey or some stevia, maybe some peppermint or lemon, anything to help with the taste. When you are using it with the baby, I would not add anything to it. It is bitter, they're not going to like it, but you're not using very much, and it can be quite dangerous to give raw honey to a baby that young. So with them, I would not add any sweeteners, but in order for it to be palatable for you, then I would probably add some kind of sweetener or flavoring to it. Okay, Hans, question number 4.
Janathia says, hello, I have been following Sprigs Life for about 8 months now, and the site has a lot of great advice. I have been suffering from terrible periods. The doctor says that I have fibroids and elevated prolactin levels. Do you have any suggestions for natural cures for these problems? Thank you.
Janathia, uterine fibroids are typically considered to be symptomatic of hormonal imbalances. I actually had uterine fibroids myself. I was doing a lot of extremely heavy bleeding, and at the time this happened to me, I was so busy. I had an active midwife practice, I was homeschooling part of my children, I was working in an herb shop, I was lecturing. I was so busy that I didn't stop to take care of myself the way I should have until it became absolutely crucial, until it became life and death, to tell you the truth. I ended up at the emergency room after hemorrhaging severely one night and was told by a doctor there that I had uterine fibroids, that I needed to be in surgery the next day to get a complete hysterectomy, or I would bleed to death. And he told me that they couldn't even do the surgery until I was given a transfusion because my hematocrit was so low. So I'm not sure where on this scale you are right now, but I would strongly encourage you to jump in there and start correcting the problem now. If I were to go back and be in your situation and start working with this, the very first place I would look is my diet. If there are a lot of animal products in your diet, then I would start cutting them way back, maybe even eliminate them for a while, just because of all of the chemicals and hormones and steroids and everything that tends to be in these products, which absolutely plays havoc with our chemistry. The next thing I would do is get on an herbal formula like the Hormonal Help Stage 2. This formula has been put together with herbs that have traditionally been used to give the body the building blocks it needs to help create our hormones, to help keep them in balance. Along with the herbal formula, I would also be taking wheat germ oil. So I would do that 3 times a day. When I finally discovered that I had uterine fibroids, as I've already said, it had become literally a life and death situation. The doctor told me if I didn't have the hysterectomy, I would die, that I would bleed to death. For many reasons that I don't have time to get into now, I decided not to do that. I, with the help of my daughters, put myself on a different program, which completely took care of the problem. One of the things that I was doing was, because my hematocrit was so low, morning and night, I would drink 2 ounces of fresh wheatgrass juice so that I could get my hematocrit built back up. Then every night for 2 weeks, my daughters would juice a flat of wheatgrass juice. Now, depending on how much moisture is in the grass, you'll get somewhere between 4 to 7 ounces of juice out of that. I would pile up 4 or 5 folded bath towels in my bathtub. I would get in there and lay in a slant board position. So I would have my hips up on those folded towels, and then I would be in a head down position. I would douche with that wheatgrass juice and then stay in that position for 15 or 20 minutes. I would have a bottle of castor oil on the side of the tub, which I would rub on my abdomen, and I would massage with an effleurage motion, meaning that I would go from the pubic bone up to the navel, around the outside, back to the pubic bone, pull up and around. This does several things. It helps to get the wheatgrass juice up into the uterus. The massaging and the castor oil helps to break up adhesions, scar tissue, endometriosis. The massage itself is helping to pull the uterus and the bladder and everything back up where they belong. Because if you've had several children, as you age, sometimes everything, gravity takes over and everything starts to try and fall the wrong direction. And so when you're in this head down slant board position, you have gravity in your favor. And so as you're massaging, you're reminding the muscles and the organs of where they belong and to stay in place and to help strengthen them. Now, when I did this for myself, by day 3, the bleeding stopped. On about day 10, I passed some tissue. And after the end of that 2-week period, using the herbal formulas, the wheatgrass juice, and doing that douche and massage for 2 solid weeks, after that, I fell back into a normal 28-day cycle with a normal period, and continued to do that until the age of 60. So by doing this program, it literally strengthened and rejuvenated all of those organs to the point where I literally kept cycling until I was 60. So I hope this helps, and I wish you much success on your journey. Thank you all so much for joining us today. This has been the Ask Dr. Mom Show, and I'm Sandra Ellis.